The second set will be played on Whirlwind. Spawning in the bottom left-hand position, second green Terran from WOONGJIN Stars to be sent out. His name is Organ, known as Piano in Brood War.
His opponent, his name is Stork, playing for Samsung Khan, top right-hand position as Red Protoss.
Alright, so do you really remember anything specific about Organ's playstyle in Brood War?
Not exactly. I mean, I'm still looking through some of the records right now. In fact, to talk about Starcraft2 a little bit more, yes, he did play some Starcraft2 in Air Force Ace because, you know, they had to play between Brood War and Starcraft2. So if you look at the record, Organ, he is down 2-0 against Stork in Brood War. And in Starcraft2, Stork does have a win against Organ. That was back in 2012, June 23rd.
So in the hybrid Pro League, so that still feels like eons ago.
Yeah, well, this has been 321 days since his last Pro League match against Byung. I think I remember that match, but I don't want to call it right now because I don't want to say something wrong. But it's going to be around 900 days since his last win in Pro League. His last win in Pro League actually was back in 2010. Wow. December.
That's a long time ago. Alright, well, we're going to have to see what Organ has in store here. And it's actually pretty interesting that he actually has played against Stork in StarCraft 2, considering that he hasn't played a single game of Pro League this season. And the last time he played was in the hybrid season.
Yeah. For Stork, it's going to be his first win in 84 days if he wins this match today. And I do want to correct myself, just looking at some of the record right now. It seems like Organ actually won a match back in the hybrid season against Trap on July 1st. So it was about a year ago. That's what TLPD says. Seems like the OGN says something else, so I'm just here to read the data.
Well, you know, we know that TLPD is always correct. Alright, well, we do see pretty fast expands from both players here. And Command Center first opening a little bit greedier for Organ. Player that likes to name himself after instruments.
Now Stork, this particular year is not great for him. 2013 has not been his year. He is 11-25 overall. At least he is 4-3 in this particular matchup with a 57.1% win rate. Remember, Zhangbi and Stork, they were known as the PBT monsters back in Brood War. And even in StarCraft 2, they still carry the tradition with Zhangbi, of course, taking a win against Hammer in set number 1, who is a Terran player from WOONGJIN Stars.
I feel like this is kind of a good case scenario for Stork. You know, he's behind, he's lost a lot of games, and he needs to rebuild his confidence, so at least he is playing against a Terran player. So that's good that he's playing that. And it's also on a pretty big macro map like Whirlwind, so, you know, he's probably not going to end up dying to any type of weird cheeses or timing attacks early on in the game, and he can play the game he wants to play.
In fact, he's completely scouting around the map to see if there's any proxies in those little weird locations, and he doesn't see anything. He also scouts the middle of the map to just double confirm that there's no proxy in the middle of the map. So all Stork has to worry about is the fact that his opponent went for the CC early expansion build from his opponent Organ, and all he has to worry about is maybe a possible proxy building around his main base, and he can play this game really safe. He's not going to die to any cheeses today.
Yeah. I wonder if Stork has anything up his sleeve. Earlier on in Pro League, he did have some success by doing some very calculated cheeses or proxies, but he's just playing pretty standard so far. Nothing too crazy. We do have a pretty fast starport on the way, though, from Organ. He is getting a Widow Mine, so we're going to be seeing a Widow Mine / Marine drop early on here. Could follow this up with Hellbats as well. Very probable.
I also like the fact. I also love that Terran players are going for the Widow Mine drops after getting a CC. When Heart of the Swarm first came out, people were relying on Hellbats and Widow Mines. They went for the drop earlier in the game on one base instead of 2 bases. And since Protoss players started to figure out how to defend against the Widow Mine drops, what happened is that the Widow Mine drops in the middle line, it kills 1 or maybe 2 probes, and that's it. And you're in a situation where the Terran player needs to take a natural expansion when the Protoss player already has a natural nexus and the main nexus. So going for the harassment after taking the CC is the correct choice. But look at this Organ not going for the harassment just yet. Knowing that his opponent is Stork, just putting the Widow Mines in the middle line to defend against possible oracles.
This is actually pretty uncharacteristic of a lot of Terran players. They almost always go on the offensive here, but because I guess he didn't really scan too much, he doesn't actually know what his opponent's up to, and Stork's been doing a great job at just hiding a lot of information from his opponent here. So, you know what? Oregon, he doesn't really know exactly what's going on. Going for a fast third command center, though, and actually building it at that third location as well. A little bit interesting that he's doing that here. We do have the robotics and the forge on the way for Stork as well, so he is just moving into a very standard macro-like game, and if he can scout this third command center going up so fast, he can try to either deny that or just expand fast himself.
Well, first he needs to defend against the drop that's going at the natural. He does have enough units, but does he have the observer? He's going for the warp prism. And do you see an observer with the main army right now?
I do not see an observer with the main army. The Widow Mine being dropped in the main mineral line here. It may get a kill or two here. And the natural as well, or the main is as well, going to go under fire. But very nice reaction from Stork. He is... Oh!
Very unlucky by Oregon. Only picks up 4 probes. It could have gotten a lot more, but still nice damage done by the single Widow Mine. And now Stork is forced to build cannons and just wait for the observer to finish before he could start mining again.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate for Stork. He could have certainly saved those workers, but you know he already had them moving over to the main base of the mine, and it's going to do a little bit of damage. And I guess the loss of mineral time hurts as well. Overall, 8 workers killed. Actually, that was pretty much worth it from the Terran side.
Definitely. You know, usually when they go for the Hellbats, they try to get 8 to 10 kills with the 2 Hellbats, but with the Widow Mine and few Marines getting up to 8 kills and saving the medevac, while also securing a third command center with your opponent not scouting it, fantastic position for Oregon to be in.
All right, so Stork, he's got this War Prism over here. Okay, he's going to warp in a few more units and then start doing some harassment here. Could definitely be really annoying for our Terran player to deal with.
Yeah, and this also has to throw Oregon slightly out of position because remember, Stork did not see the third command center. He is not punishing right now. He's not taking his own third nexus at this particular point, and the time is ticking. Whereas Stork, if he tries to take a third base around 11 minutes or 12 minutes, his opponent, his economy is going to kick in, and he's just going to overpower his opponent. So these 4 Zealots are really crucial for Stork at this point, as it needs to throw off Oregon's play.
Yes, indeed. And the Marine not going to see the Warp Prism here. It's safely hidden out of sight there. Could potentially have seen it, though, if he walked all the way up to that edge. And Stork actually being very aggressive moving out here. This could be a bit of a mistake. He should not overcommit to this. He does scout the third base as well. This has been up for a while, actually. And, you know, the mules just mining from it, doing their job. And these hallucinating Phoenix are going to pretty much see everything that's in Oregon's base.
He checks to see where the main army is. He checks to see the turret positioning, so whenever he wants, he could go for the Warp Prism drop inside the main base and make it work. But Stork also needs to be careful with his main army, because if it's caught out of position in the middle of the map, the Colossus is going to get picked off for free. Oregon can go for a counterattack and win the game. So Stork needs to be careful with his main army right now.
He does need to be careful. Stork also moving in now. This is the time for him to strike with that War Prism and do a little bit of harassment here. These SCVs over here that are building buildings right now could get a lot of damage done to them. And Stork dropping a few units directly in the mineral line there. He's got to be careful. War Prism low on health. Not picked off yet. I would like to see maybe another Zealot or 2 warped in if he wants to there. But overall, he's going to attack the third at the same time. Very smart decision-making from Stork. He can even force field off the ramp if he wants to as well. And these Zealots are going to get picked off. They're going to be very annoying.
So nice.
Yes.
Force fields off. Gets all the SCVs. And remember, the Mothership Core is there. Just recall out, and you are completely fine.
Nice tactics from Stork there. And I'm not sure if he... I believe he still has his Warp Prism alive.
Yes.
At this point. So he's got that. And just, you know, adding on a lot of gateways right now. He's getting his third base, getting Storm as well behind this. Stork setting himself up for a very solid mid to late game scenario here. His Storm is halfway done. Charge on the way, +2 armor is being researched as well here. And our Terran player, though, still not out of it. He is still ahead in supply, 132 to 117. He's getting his 2-2 right now as well, and still his production is pretty solid here. But Stork, you know, just a nice little move there from him, doing the drops and killing off some of those extra workers.
Yeah. Like you said, his opponent got an early third, and it has gone unscouted. So Stork needed to do something, and that was a fantastic move by Stork, just putting himself a little bit ahead in the economy wars after being behind for such a long time. The Storm is finished for Stork. More Colossus coming out, charge almost finishing, but there's a drop inside the main base.
Oh, that's just a drop with a lot of medevacs here. One of them gets picked off by a High Templar, but...
Uh-oh, the Nexus is going to get taken out.
Oh no, the Nexus going down. This is going to put Stork behind once again here, and the Terran army is also attacking at the natural. He could snipe all of these High Templars, but no, the Storm goes down. It's going to hit a good amount of those units there, but the High Templar will eventually get picked off there. Storm does a good amount of damage to the Archon and is going to end up dying here. That's a lot of yellow and red bio in the vicinity here. Stork needs to reinforce and bring his units from the main to that natural and third base in order to save this location. The Marauders may actually be able to take out that additional Nexus at the third, though.
Yeah, well, Dozel's a trap in the back as Stork is not multitasking well right now. The Vikings ripping apart on the probes. The bio getting the Nexus once again. And Stork does not have any economy. This is something that Stork just needed to defend against. And with no anti-air, no Archons, no Storms to eat away on the Vikings, those Colossus are being taken down, down, down.
This was very well executed by Oregon. He pretty much attacked at the perfect timing to deal a critical amount of damage to the Stork. He committed too many units up into the main base. He brought all of his Colossus there. He needed to keep at least one or two kind of in the main, at the natural, between the natural and third there, because the Terran players, they're going to go for these double-pronged attacks here. And, you know, the harassment's still continuing here. Finally, Oregon is going to go ahead and escape out of there. But we went from Stork, you know, being in a solid position to being pretty far behind.
Yeah, just putting the Templars in that little position, also building few cannons against the drop is a perfect play for Protoss, who's a little bit ahead. You know, they only have to waste around, like, you know, 300 minerals to defend against the drops. That's fantastic. If you don't have the defense, you're going to lose the Nexus at the main, you lose the Nexus at the third base, and you cannot win the game because you're going to lose all of your Colossus and Templars to these multi-pronged attacks from the Terran player.
Yeah, Oregon is just bouncing around every single base right now, and Stork, he simply just doesn't have enough units to deal with it. He doesn't have a lot of static defense either, which is hurting him a little bit here. Going to potentially lose a few more units as well in this position. The charge lots, though, that should scare away the bulk of this army here. Nice feedbacks on the medevacs. Don't pick them off, though, but now they pretty much... there's a little bit of healing there, but not too much.
Well, the problem itself is the medevacs are still alive and well, and there is still a threat of drop inside the main base. Stork doesn't have the Colossus. He doesn't have that many Storms left either. And he still needs to defend multiple locations at once when his economy has been crippled. Look at the supply difference between the two players right now. 160 supply from Oregon to 108 from Stork. He does have enough Zealots at the third base, but does he have enough back in the main base? No, he even pulls the Zealots away from the third.
Uh-oh, no. This is just a repeat of what happened earlier on in the game where the Terran player, Oregon, just did multi-pronged attacks. The Nexus at the third goes down. The Nexus in the main will survive for now, but, you know, it's just a ticking, I think it's just a ticking bomb right now. Eventually, Oregon is going to come in and be able to kill off that Nexus, and he's moving into the natural as well with additional units. The Zealots are here this time. They're going to be able to clean up this force, but... I mean, even if Stork can clean up the force here, he still has to worry about the main base, and these units are just going to go continuing the focus on the Nexus. Stork down so far behind his opponent here. Oregon with his relentless attacks over and over. He's giving Stork no breathing room whatsoever this game.
So Stork says, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go for the attack, and I'm going to try to finish what my opponent has right now. The problem is he doesn't have the economy to back this up, so GG is called from Stork as Oregon takes his first match in 2012-2013 season.
Unfortunately for Stork, he is just on a pretty bad losing streak here. And, you know, it's like he was playing good, but then the big Doom drop came into his main base, and that's where he really started to fall apart there. And Oregon, you know, all of the multitasking that he was doing that game really just, you know, it kind of was poking into Stork's weaknesses there, and Stork just, he looks like he really needs to work on his defense against multi-pronged Terran attacks.
Not to downplay on Oregon, remember he went to Air Force Ace, the team disbanded. He practiced hard even while in Air Force and also practicing during his vacation off from military to just come back for WOONGJIN Stars and get his first win for 2012-2013 season and his first win since Air Force Ace.
So I'm sure he's very happy about that. You can tell he's a really passionate and devoted player if he went through all of that just so he could continue playing. So congratulations to Oregon winning the second match. The third set is going to be Bravo versus Roro on Naro Station. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll have that match when we get back after this commercial break.